Hey everyone, and welcome to the TurboTax workshop for Uber partners. My name is Jennifer Gorman. I'm the social care manager with TurboTax, and I'm here to help you along on your self-employed tax return. So in today's session, you're going to learn a few different things. You're going to learn how becoming a self-employed taxpayer changes the way you file. You're going to learn about TurboTax SelfEmployed and what other products we have available for you. You're going to learn what you need to prepare and have on hand before you file your taxes. Then we're going to do a full product walkthrough. So using TurboTax to file your return, we're going to teach you how to do your personal profile, how to properly report your partner income and expenses, and we're going to cover your GST and HST obligations. We're also going to let you know how to take advantage of your special offer as an Uber partner. And then at the very end, we're going to have a question and answer session. So the first thing you need to know about filing as an Uber driver partner is that you're actually filing as a small business owner. You're in the self-employed category. This means that in addition to completing your usual forms, you're going to need to report your income and your expenses related to being an Uber partner. Now, this is filed on a Form T2125, which is a statement of business activities, but you don't actually need to have that form in front of you. TurboTax takes care of that for you. Now, keep in mind, this is still only one tax return that you're filing. Just because you're self-employed doesn't mean that you're necessarily filing more than one return. All of this is still going to go on your main tax return. You're actually just adding extra bits to it. Now, if you're a driver in Ontario or Alberta, you're also going to have additional requirements for your GST and HST, but we'll cover those a little bit later. We have 3 simple and easy solutions for you as an Uber driver partner. And the first one is the one that we're going to be covering today, which is TurboTax SelfEmployed. And it's for all of you who want to do your own taxes. You don't need to be a tax expert to use this. And it'll walk you through the entire return process from start to finish. We'll talk about these features a little bit later. The next one that we have is a brand new product for this year. It's called TurboTax Live Assist and Review for Self-Employed. TurboTax Live Assist and Review Self-Employed allows you to prepare your return, but gives you access to a tax specialist who can answer your questions throughout the process. You'll also get a full review of your return before you file, giving you added confidence that everything has been entered properly and you've maximized all your tax saving opportunities. The next option we have is called TurboTax Live Full Service Self-Employed. If you would rather have an expert do your return for you from start to finish, this is the best option for you. You won't even have to leave your house. This service also takes care of your GST and HST return at no additional charge. This option is not yet available in Quebec. Today's session will be focusing on the people that want to do their taxes themselves. We'll be using TurboTax SelfEmployed. TurboTax SelfEmployed searches over 400 different deductions and credits for you. We take the guesswork out of claiming your self-employment income and expenses. If you can navigate your way around the city and through traffic, you can do your own taxes. Just follow the step-by-step guidance, just like using your GPS. What to prepare before filing your taxes. There's a few things you're going to need, of course, in order to be able to file your return. Number 1 is your annual tax summary from Uber. Number 2 are all the receipts, bills, statements, and everything for all your tax-deductible expenses. So gas receipts, insurance receipts, if you've had any car repairs, all of those, get them all ready to go. Next is your vehicle mileage. You'll also need the basics like your social insurance number. If you're claiming any other type of income or expenses or deductions, have those documents and slips available as well. And because you are a GST or HST registrant, you'll also need to have the information regarding that, mainly the amount that you've collected. Tax-deductible expenses. As an Uber partner, you know you have lots of different expenses that relate to your income. So you have your service fees from Uber. You have all of the different types of fluids that go into your car, gas, windshield washer fluid, oil, all of those things. Maintenance expenses. Living in Canada, I'm sure you bought winter tires. Those are an expense. Repairs, routine oil changes When you got those new tires, the cost of balancing and installation is also tax deductible. If you're leasing your vehicle, also a deduction. Car washes, detailing, anything related to your car, usually a deduction. If you bought pen and paper to keep track of your mileage or any other expenses, that's also a deduction. Water and snacks that you provide to your passengers, if you go that extra mile, you might be able to deduct that as well. Of course, as an Uber driver partner, you're also required to have a cell phone. Part of that expense may also be claimed. To make life easier, instead of sifting through all the paper and receipts, try QuickBooks Self-Employed. It's a perfect choice for Uber driver partners. It'll help you track your expenses, sales tax, and you can capture photos of your receipts, so everything is stored electronically. You can connect the app to your bank account, and you can easily separate and categorize all of your expenses. It also has the ability to track your mileage, including those dead kilometers between trips. We know the tax time can be a stressful time, so we've developed a site for Uber partners which is full of helpful tax time hints, tips, resources, and of course your special offer from TurboTax and QuickBooks. So head to turbotax.ca/Uber for everything tax. Okay, let's start our demo. So after you've logged into your account, you're going to set up your tax situation. So TurboTax is very good at this because it just asks you simple questions about your life. So for example, the simplest one is, what is your marital status? If you have any questions, you always just click the little blue buttons that are on here and they'll tell you a little bit more about whatever screen you're viewing. I've taken the liberty of skipping most of this because everyone has their own special tax situation. But if you do have dependents or you're married and you want to do your spouse's return at the same time, absolutely go through, answer each question. If there's a spot that you're not sure about, you can always go back and fill in the blanks later. So for you, the most important thing in the profile section is going to be to indicate that you are self-employed. And this is what it looks like. Very first question is, did you work? And yes, you did. So once you click yes, just indicate that you were self-employed. And for you Uber partners, it's listed right here. You also have business expenses you want to claim. You also indicate the province that you work. And don't be thrown off by this phrase right here. If you had a permanent business set up there. For tax purposes, permanent means that you had it for the entire year, not for forever. Then just click continue. Once you're finished this section, just click continue again. Now you're going to go into the income section. This is where all of your self-employment activities are recorded, both your income and your expenses. I've taken the liberty of filling in a little bit of information, but we'll review it just to make sure everyone has an idea of where to go next. When you get to the self-employment section of your return, this is your welcome page. It gives you some general information. Now, as you can see, I've already added some information to this, so I'm going to go in and edit it. If you're doing this for the first time, these are the screens that you will see. The basics. What name did you use for your work or business? Don't be confused about this one. This is a really easy question. As an Uber partner, you're actually self-employed, of course. So that means that the name of your business is you, is your name. What product or service did you provide? You can put rideshare, driving, anything that describes what you do as an Uber partner. Did your business have partners? Well, actually, as an Uber partner, you have loads of partners, but for tax purposes, no, you don't have any partners. Do you have a 6-digit tax shelter number? No, skip that, leave it blank. Do you have a GST, HST account? Absolutely. As an Uber partner, you do have an HST account. You will enter that number in here. If it was your final business and you think you're never going to work as an Uber partner again, you can indicate yes, but most of the time we leave this set to no, it's preset there. Don't be concerned if you see these empty spots. Not everything applies to your business. So if it doesn't apply to you, err on the side of caution and leave it empty. What's your work address? Well, as an Uber partner, your work address is everywhere. But for these purposes, it's where you live. It's your home address. Industry code. This is a very popular question. What is my industry code? Well, let's cover what is an industry code. An industry code is actually just something used by the federal government to keep track of small businesses. They want to know how many types of new businesses there are and categorize them just for stats purposes. As an Uber driver partner, this is your industry code. Everyone has the same one as an Uber partner. It's 485990. Now we're going to get into some screens that you're going to end up skipping because they don't apply. This is the first one. Did you make any year-end adjustments? No. See how easy that was? Did any of these apply to your work or business? My work has partners. Again, for tax purposes, even though there are lots of Uber partners, this does not apply to you. You can just skip it. Okay. This is the income section. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at your annual tax summary and you're going to add up all of the income that you had. So as an Uber partner, there are a number of different columns. You want the total. So for this particular purpose, we're going to say that Mary, who's our Uber driver partner, she made exactly $20,000 last year. On the nose. So that's how much she's going to put in there. And that is including all of the fees, everything that are on your annual tax statement. As a GST registrant, you also have some extra things to fill in. So let's start here. Of that $20,000, that is the amount that Mary made before GST and HST was applied. That's why we're going to leave this blank at 0. If Mary had put all of her money that she collected in there, including GST, then the amount of GST would be deducted here. Now, most of you are using the quick method to do GST. It's much simpler. That means that on the GST return you're doing annually, you might need a couple of numbers. So if you're using the quick method, all you're going to do is take the total that you had here. So this would be $20,000 times 13%. That's $2,600. That's how much GST, HST you collected on this $20,000. Down here requires a little bit more calculations on your part. If you've already done your GST, HST return, you just simply pull the number from line 103. If you have not done it yet, then all you need to do is add the total of $20,000 plus what you collected in GST, HST, and times it by your quick method rate. For example, in Ontario, the quick method rate is 8.8%. So Mary would have $20,000 plus the $2,600 she collected for GST, HST in Ontario. She would times that by her quick method rate, which is 8.8%, which gives her a total of $1,988.80. All there is to it. And then you click continue. Now we're going to be doing some more skipping. Reserves deducted does not apply. So we're going to just click continue. Inventory, we don't have any inventory as an Uber partner, so we're going to skip the inventory. Now we come to the one that applies to you the most, your work-related vehicle expenses. This is where we're going to start seeing this balance drop. So we're going to click yes. And we're going to add a vehicle for Mary. So if your business had partners, which it does not, you would use this particular choice. As an Uber partner, you're going to add a vehicle for your own name. Then we're just going to fill in the blanks. So you describe your vehicle. I'm going to say that Mary was driving a 2015 Honda. The next two blanks are the most important in this section. how many kilometers that you drove in the entire year, and how many kilometers that you drove in order to earn income. These two numbers you must have in order to claim your vehicle expenses. If you read your odometer on January 1st of 2017 and again on December 31st of 2017, excellent. Way to go. Did the right thing. So we're going to say that Mary did that, and she drove a total of 10,000 kilometers last year. As her work as an Uber driver partner, she kept track of all of her dead kilometers, plus all of her working kilometers, and we're going to say that half of the time that she drove her car, she was driving as an Uber partner. If for some reason you did not keep track of your dead kilometers, you can still use the kilometers that appear on your summary from Uber. It's always a good idea, of course, to track those dead kilometers, because the more expenses that you have, the lower your income, the lower your amount owing will be. So for our purposes, we're going to say that Mary drove half of the kilometers for the entire year while she was at work. Another little stumbling point that people tend to have is that they only put in the amount of expenses that apply while they were on the job. When you're doing your taxes, the best thing to remember is if it had to do with work, yes, you save it, but when it has to do with your vehicle, you save all of your expenses, whether or not you got gas while you're at work or when you're on your way to the movies. It doesn't make any difference. The amount that you claim is going to be based on your kilometers. So Mary put in, let's say $3,000 she got last year in gas, fuel, oil. How much did you spend on insurance? Another easy one. You don't need to prorate it. TurboTax does it for you. So if your insurance payment was, let's say, $200 a month, you just put in $2,400. Easy peasy. How much did you spend on license and registration fees? Again, if you had to get your license renewed, if you got new tags, if you bought a new car and had to pay registration fees more than once, you're going to total them all up and put them in there. Let's say, for the sake of argument, Mary had about $250 last year. Because we're in Canada, there's a good chance that you spent money on snow tires last year. If that is the case, you get to claim that as a deduction. Any types of maintenance, repairs, oil changes, fuel, fluid top-ups, anything like that, absolutely, it's an expense. So Mary spent $2,000 last year. Did you pay for business parking? If so, how much? There's a good chance that you didn't incur any type of parking fees, but this spot actually is for tolls as well. So on your statement from Uber, you have a total of the amount of tolls for which you were reimbursed. That amount is added to your income to make sure that you're not going to be taxed on it because you actually use it as an expense. This is where you're going to put it. So last year, Mary only went over tolls a few times. She has a $50 expense for tolls. Supplementary business insurance, if you had to get extra insurance because of the type of car loan or lease that you have in order to be an Uber partner, you would put that in there. Other expenses, if you have your car detailed regularly or have a car wash, anything like that, those expenses would go in there as well. If you purchased your car and have a loan on it, then you can certainly claim your interest payments. The best way to figure out your interest amount is to actually contact your lender. They can give you a figure for the year. If you're leasing your vehicle, you can claim your lease payments as well. There is a cap, so you may be capped. The software would do it for you, of course. But if you are leasing, then you just absolutely pop in your payments for the year and the other little bits of information that are required, dates, whatnot. The last one on this page is actually called the capital costs allowance. That's just a fancy term for depreciation. You're allowed to actually depreciate part of your vehicle as an expense. Your vehicle's wearing out over time, and the government understands this, so you're allowed to claim that as an expense. Pick class 30, class 10, which is 30%. If you claimed depreciation last year, you will need the number that appears on your tax return. That's what this is, your UCC at the beginning of the year. That's unclaimed capital cost. So, for example, last year, when you printed out your tax return and had a look at it, you would have had an end-of-year balance. Last year's end-of-year balance is this year's beginning-of-the-year balance. If you claimed depreciation in the past, you need this number. If you have never claimed depreciation, you don't need it. If you bought a new vehicle for work, you would enter in details here. If you claimed depreciation last year, you're going to need some numbers from your last year return. UCC at the beginning of the year. On your last year's return, you'll have a column that says undepreciated capital cost at the end of year. The one from the end of year last year is actually the beginning of the year this year. So if you did claim CCA, capital cost allowance, on your vehicle last year, you will need to dig out your tax return and grab that number. So now, as you can see, we've claimed some motor vehicle expenses for Mary, and because of that, Mary's balance due went down. But we're not done yet. We still have more things we have to declare. More work expenses. Some of these will apply to you and some will not. Let's go through them one by one. Advertising expenses. If you paid out of pocket for anything such as business cards, brochures that promote you as a self-employed Uber partner, absolutely, you can claim that as an expense. Work-related meals, beverages, and entertainment. As an Uber partner, there are very few situations where you're going to be able to claim work-related meals and beverages because these are for yourself, not for your fares. If you had to travel out of town and were gone for quite some time with a fare, that would be an acceptable meals or beverage deduction. Generally, it's not something you're going to claim. Wages, salaries, and benefits. You're usually solo. As an Uber partner, this will not apply to you. Business-related travel, self-employment work, also, again, rarely is going to apply to you. Doubtful accounts, we can skip this one as well. Licensed business taxes or dues. Again, rarely this is going to apply to you, or shipping expenses. Fuel for your business. This is not fuel for your vehicle. We've already covered that. This would be for someone that uses some sort of fuel to run a manufacturing company, not you. Commercial insurance, again, not vehicle insurance premiums. We can skip this page. Interest, repair and maintenance to your business property. We've already covered repair and maintenance to your main business property, which is your vehicle. Office expenses. This one you may have a few. If you have pens, pencils, paper, anything like that that you use in order to keep track of things in your car or to keep track of things at home in your home office, any of those things can be deductible. They must relate to your business. You can't write off your kids' school supplies or anything like that. It must relate to your business. Other supplies. Other supplies would be if you are purchasing snacks, water, anything like that to provide to your fares, that would fall into the category of other supplies. Banking or other fees. This is going to be where you enter all of your Uber-related fees, service fees. So it could be your regular service fees that appear on your annual tax statement. You're also going to put in your split fees and your booking fees. So for Mary, we're going to say that Mary paid probably about $3,000, let's just say. So these numbers are available on your annual tax summary from Uber. If you used TurboTax last year, how much you paid to use it, you can enter here as professional advice or service. If you hired an accountant last year, I'm glad that you've decided to take this on yourself. So let's put in a fee here of $35, just for the sake of argument. I had a really cheap accountant. Property taxes, rent on the building, not you. telephone and utilities. This would be your cell phone. So there's a rule when it comes to cell phones and self-employed. Most people have a cell phone, whether or not they are self-employed. So you have to decide how much of your cell phone you use for business and how much you're using for personal. Not the easiest calculation in the world, but you just keep track of how many minutes really that you're using it in the run of a day. And if you had to add on data to your phone specifically to work as an Uber partner, the entire cost of that data can be used as a deduction. So let's say Mary's annual cell phone bill is about $1,200, and she's figured out that she uses it half the time as an Uber partner. She can claim $600. Okay, we're going to check our balance due again after we put in this expense. Now we're way down. We're down to $103 owing. And we're going to do a brief explanation of why exactly that figure is there. We're going to skip fixed assets. You don't have any fixed assets. Home office for an Uber partner is not exactly realistic. Most of the time, your home office is your car. So we're going to skip that part. So here's your business summary. Here's your gross income, and that includes the amount that was your GST calculation. You have expenses as well, bringing a net income of $13,101.20. So we started out with $20,000, and with all of your income and deductions, we're now at $13,101. If you find receipts that perhaps you did not include, you can always go back and edit. Just click the edit button. And let's say that Mary forgot to include, an advertising expense. She forgot that she ordered some business cards for herself. We're just going to put them in there and click continue. Great thing about this section is if you want to move on anywhere within the software, you don't have to keep clicking continue. You can just go where you want to go. Now you see that just adding that little $25 deduction dropped our balance due again. That's why it's so important to make sure that you're claiming every deduction that applies to your business. So let's have a look and see where this money is going. So right now, Mary's at a balance due of $93.65. Here's her business income. Basic deductions. She's also, because she is self-employed, she has to pay something else other than income tax. And a lot of you that are new to the self-employment game aren't quite sure exactly what this is. Line 421. So line 421 is your CPP payable on self-employment. CPP stands for Canada Pension Plan. If you've ever had a T4 or an employer, you know that on your T4 is listed how much CPP premiums have been paid throughout the year. They were deducted from your weekly check and sent in, but you may not know that your employer also matched that amount. As a self-employed person, you're responsible for both your section of the CPP and your employer's section of the CPP. So as it shows on here, Mary, and this is based on Mary's net income after her expenses, is due to pay $948.04 in CPP premiums. Luckily, Mary gets to deduct half of that up here through self-employment. It's a great idea, of course, as a self-employed person to be planning for your future. CPP premiums are due with your tax return, but you might also want to consider other venues such as our RSPs. Those will also lower your tax payable. They're a great vehicle for planning for your retirement. So when you're done with your business, all of your entries have been recorded. Just click Done with Business and continue through your return. If you've indicated in the setting up section that you have our RSPs, other deductions such as childcare or any provincial credits that you may want to claim, you will just keep going through your return by clicking the Continue button. And if you've indicated these in the Setting Up section, these will populate automatically for you. When you're done, you will reach the Review section, where we make sure we didn't miss anything. Just click Continue. Some summaries here. Excellent information if you want to know exactly how much business income you have and other credits that you're claiming. As you go through and finish the review section, you'll be then ready to file. If you've never filed your tax return before, then there's a very good chance that you will have to print your return and send it in by mail. If you're new to Canada, same thing. Generally, your first return, whether you're a new Canadian or not, you have to mail in your return. After that, you'll be in the system. Next year, you'll probably be able to net file. All right, so that's all there is to it. So let's take some questions. All righty. On my annual tax summary from Uber, which amount do I enter as my gross income? Great question. Let's bring up one of the tax summaries right here. So this is what you'll be getting from Uber in early March. It has lots of the information that you'll need on it. You have all your fare breakdown and other income if you had referrals or any type of miscellaneous income. So when you're doing your actual tax return, you're going to have to add a couple of numbers. So let's go back to that section. In the income section, self-employment. And this is where we're going to use that edit button that we talked about earlier, just go back and have a look at some of the figures. So your income goes in the income and inventory section. This is where we were. So total revenue. You get that figure by adding the total fare breakdown here to your other income breakdown here. Those two numbers together go in your total revenue. So for Mary, as we said, she somehow did the magic of earning exactly $20,000 last year. So that's the first time you're going to use your annual tax summary. The other numbers on this will be used in your expense section. So let's have a look at that. So right now we're going to skip the income and skip the inventory. Remember all the skipping. And here's your vehicle expenses. So we're going to go into your vehicle expenses. And we're going to edit again. So the first number that we need is actually the business parking. And remember that we had said that your business parking for this purpose is actually your tolls. So Mary would have had a number here of $50. And the reason we're putting that as an expense is because it's included in your income. If you don't remember to put the expense on there, you're actually going to pay tax on something you should be using as a tax deductible expense. So for business parking, again, look at your tolls. Fill in the blank. The next time we're going to use the business summary, your annual tax summary, is going to be for your fees. So let's keep going till we get to the fees section. There's your advertising, and this is where we're going to do all that skipping until we get to the one that we are filling in for all of the different fees that are incurred as an Uber partner. Keep going. There we go. Banking and other fees. So these are called administration fees. So for your purpose, your split fare fee is going to go in there, as well as your booking fee. Also, you can see here that anything that says fare or fee, you add those together, and they're going to go in to this section. So that's how your annual tax summary plays a big part in doing your actual return. There's other numbers on here as well, how much you've collected in HST, which is a valuable one. There's your service fee and your on-trip mileage. Now remember we said on-trip mileage is only if you did not keep track of your own kilometers, including your dead kilometers, which you should be doing. But if for some reason you forgot, you can use the number that appears on your on-trip mileage. All right, let's go to another question. Can you review the GST entries? Absolutely. Let's just go back. We'll start at the beginning again. And we're going to edit. And GST is included in the income section. Now, as an Uber partner, as you know, you have to be registered and collect GST or HST depending on your province of residence. And for this, you only need 2 numbers. It's pretty straightforward. Now, keep in mind, this is not your GST return. Your GST return is something completely different. This is for tax purposes only. So the number you're going to use is here. So here's the $20,000. If you refer to your tax summary, your HST amount is right there. How much that you collected in HST or GST, and you fill that number in here. It should be 13% of whatever your total onboard revenue was. So that's an easy one. It's available for you right here. The next one is a bit of a calculation. If you're doing your GST or HST return, you've already got it done, just pull the number from line 103. If you haven't done it yet, if you decided to do your tax return first, all you need to do is add the $20,000 to the amount you collected and times it by your quick rate. Your quick method rate in Ontario, for example, is 8.8%. That's all you need to do for the tax portion of the GST HST requirements. Keep in mind, again, this is not your GST HST return, separate document. Okay, let's take another question. Can I use TurboTax to file previous year's returns too? Absolutely, for sure. If you haven't done your returns for 2015 or 2016, absolutely. Just sign in at TurboTax. Again, we can go here. Depending on how far back you need to go is where you're going to log in. If you only need to do your 2016, you're going to go from this page. Remember, to get your Uber discount, we don't sign in from here. We have to go to the actual TurboTax page for Uber driver partners. But we certainly do have options for prior year taxes if you're behind on the times and you haven't done your previous years. It's always a good idea to start with the latest year. So if you're doing your 2015, 2016, and 2017, start with the 2015 and move forward. Okay, let's do one more question. Oh, we can review that one. That's an easy one. Your industry code. What is it? Why do I need it? Your industry code, as we talked about earlier, is used by the government for stats only. And it's just to keep track of how many new businesses are popping up and what type of businesses they are, if they're services or sales or anything like that. That goes in the identification section. Why it's important? Well, the main reason that it's important is that you cannot use NetFile if you have not filled in this. You'll end up having to fill it in by hand. At some point, the government will want to know what that number is. It's just as easy to add it now. As an Uber driver partner, this is your number. Everyone will have the same number. So write this down somewhere for future use. If for some reason you've lost this number, you can always just use the Guide Me section. It just breaks it down into what you do. So you're in a service. Transportation or storage is one of the options. The best one that describes your self-employment venture is other transit and ground passenger transportation. There we go. So now you know how to do your tax return as a self-employed Uber partner. I hope you enjoyed today's session. That's it.